Okay, sure. Let's take a look at this. I don't know a lot about War Thunder, so this is the first time I'm hearing about this. Okay, let's take a look at it.
Look at him suffer!
So, as some of you might have noticed, War Thunder is not doing too great right now. I'm sure most of you already know what's going on, but I have been asked by quite a few people to weigh in on the situation, so here we are. It's also been a while since I've had a good Gaijin rant, so I figured why not. But I'll also be talking a bit about my experiences as a Gaijin partner, and what I think the biggest issue with War Thunder currently is. Basically, this can all be traced back to an earlier attempt at an economy change, where the player base also rioted, and just like the most recent one, Gaijin did back off. But they came back with a poll. But it wasn't a normal poll, it was one of those ones where both choices really suck and you have to try and find the lesser...
Yeah, it's like, would you rather like, what was it? Sit on a cake and suck a dildo, or sit on a dildo and eat a cake? Yeah. No, I understand that.
of two evils, you know, like US elections, but basically the winning option was to move to a more rank-based economy. And with this change, some vehicles became easier to play, you know, the repair costs weren't as bad, the multipliers were a bit better, but largely it was pretty negative, especially at higher tiers. It wasn't fully introduced right away, and the latest round of changes were a continuation of that. And boy, let me tell you, they were not good. You could find a few examples here or there where it was an improvement, but by and large it was a very negative change. Many vehicles not only had their repair costs increase, but their SL multipliers also went down. So it was a classic Gaijin double whammy nerf. It seemed to affect tanks and naval the most. Again,
so why would they nerf this? What's the, like, do you have to pay money for the upgrades? Like, what is this? So you pay oh. Oh, yep. See, like, that's what I thought.
Especially at higher tiers. Gaijin also spoke over moving folders, starting with low-tier vehicles, because they said players didn't make full lineups. They said players just ignored the foldered vehicles and moved on to something else. Now, I'm sure Gaijin already knows this, but people don't use foldered vehicles that often because they're another pit for SL to fall into. If I am trying to grind my way to top tier for a new nation, I'm not going to waste time researching and buying a new vehicle, spading it, crewing it, just so I can have a more full lineup. Especially when that vehicle is pretty much identical to another vehicle that I can just buy a backup for. Again, it's just a pit to throw your time and money into. It's a pit you can avoid, but that's why Gaijin wants to get rid of folders. If they aren't foldered, that makes the grind even worse, incentivizing you to spend more money.
Yeah, see, this is what happened with Lost Ark in a different way. Is that, like, the game isn't, like, the problem is, like, you have to grind like crazy in Lost Ark, but the reason why you have to grind like crazy is the monetization structure. So it's like a, you know, it's not like an A causes B. It's like an A causes B that causes C. Like, there's like 1 degree of separation, so it's harder for people to understand, like, why this is a problem. But, like, this is the issue with, like, pay for convenience and pay to skip mechanics. Like, right here is, like, you're having, okay, so, like, they're taking something away that saves time. They're making it harder to basically, you know, shore up your losses because they want you to lose money. Because if you lose money, then you have to spend more money. That's what the problem with pay for convenience is. Pay for convenience is just as bad as pay to win.
Generally, that's the motivation behind all of these changes. Gaijin wants to make the grind basically unbearable so you're incentivized to spend money.
Yes.
I mean, they pretty much fully admitted to it. The community was not at all happy with this, so the change was reverted, and Gaijin did respond, but the response was incredibly tone-deaf and very condescending. Basically blaming players for all of it. They tried to say that most people agreed and that they'd be helpful changes, but yeah, I think that's a bit of gaslighting there, Gaijin. They did leave a link to a forum where you can leave feedback, but if I had to guess, all of these responses will be shredded, basically. Whatever the virtual...
Oh yeah, the feedback box is called the trash can. Yeah, absolutely.
Of shredding is, I guess, deleting. We'll get into that later, but Gaijin rarely, if ever, actually listens to feedback. Anyway, the player base was still very unhappy with this, so they started review bombing the Steam page, and Gaijin released yet another statement. They again opted for the gaslighting approach, saying that actually this is for the benefit of the player. You can't give a player everything at once, because it will overwhelm and make the game very difficult for them.
Well, you can if they pay for it, though, right? Because if If you pay money, you get it fast. So that's crazy, isn't it? So if you can't give a player, oh, I get it. You can't give a player everything at once. You have to charge a player for everything at once. That's what it, see, oh, ooh. See, it wasn't the right word.
And they will just leave it either immediately or almost immediately. Progression provides opportunities for gradual learning and engaging the players. Without it, the game will lose players right from the start.
And also, by the way, keep in mind that, like, I'm going to go back and just read this statement again. Test by us many times, part of game, later vehicles always more difficult to play and learn tactically. Without it, the game will lose players. What they're saying is completely accurate. They are totally right with what they're saying. 100%. The reason why it's bad is because you can pay to skip it. That's the issue. It's not that this mindset is accurate and true. But the fact that, like, if this is such a problem, then why can you just pay money to get past it? Practice what you preach. Yeah, exactly.
Start. That is just complete nonsense.
Because they're not advocating. They're not advocating for making the game more of a grind. They're advocating for incentivizing a paywall.
Provide a way for the player to get everything at once. You sell top-tier premiums.
Oh, that's convenient.
You cannot say that making the grind worse is for the player's benefit when you give them a shortcut that costs $50.
Exactly.
But you don't really care about that, do you? Because you know if a new player buys into the game right away, they feel incentivized to stick around. They don't want to waste their money. Even if they are having a bad time, they'll still try to play it to make the purchase worth it in their eyes.
Yeah, sure.
And even if they do quit right away, what do you care? You got their money. If anything, making the grind worse will drive off players even more. Not only will it drive off existing players, but a new player can install it, see it'll take months to get to a tier 4 vehicle and just leave.
Wait, it takes months to get to a tier, like, I'm assuming tier 4 is the highest tier? And you can just skip all of that, the month's worth of grind for just $70? Tier 7 is the highest. Holy fuck!
They also went on to talk about the review bombing. Of course a review on Steam is a platform for expression, but please don't do it because it might lose us money.
These other less destructive ways. I mean, I'm sure, please stop giving us negative reviews. Who thought this was a good idea to say this?
The majority of new players just look at the score evaluation and do not read the text reviews. Review bombing does damage to the game in that new players simply won't try it.
That's why they're review bombing it. You fucking idiots. They're review bombing it to punish you for making the game worse. They don't care about the health of the game. They actively want to hurt the game to punish you for fucking it up. For money. They're effectively saying, stop doing this, it's working.
You know this isn't true. This doesn't just apply to War Thunder, that would apply to every game on Steam. You don't see other devs on Steam complaining about the review system. New players can see that most of the negative reviews are very recent, so there was probably some event that made that happen. And I don't know about you guys, but when I see a game has bad reviews, I actually go and look at what's wrong with the game. I don't just...
I think what they're saying is accurate. I think that a lot of people don't look at the reviews, they see the reviews are negative, and they just move on. Because there are hundreds of games competing for their attention, and they don't have time to research every single one of them. Absolutely.
Let's move on to the next thing. You don't get to dictate how people criticize your game.
Like, for example, like in Amazon. Like, how many of you guys have bought something from a seller at Amazon, and one seller has a 4.6 and the other one has a 4.9, and you go with the 4.9? Do you read any of the reviews about why a 4.6 is 4.6 or a 4.9 is 4.9? No. You're like, oh, bigger number, better person. That's it. You're done. Yeah, it's that simple. So, like, I think actually what they're saying is completely accurate.
Yeah, I think review bombing is stupid if it's a movie that no one's actually seen, just because there's some political message they don't like, but that's not the case here. These are War Thunder players. Some random guy that's never played War Thunder before isn't going to go, oh, some dev is making a bad decision, better go review bomb it. It just doesn't happen. If people are being doxxed or threatened, then yeah, it's an issue and shouldn't happen. But as far as I know, it's not here. And Gaijin has the gall to ask for feedback in the forums and other things. They don't care. They don't listen.
Well, the reason why they're asking for it to be in the forums is because the forums is not it's not a place for public discussion. What they're saying is that we don't want you to use public channels for the game. We want you to use our private channels for the game, so it minimizes the public impact this negative criticism could be. It's not that it's a controlled space, it's that it's a space that is exclusive to people that are already playing the game.
I'm very privileged in that I'm a content partner, so I get a pretty much direct line to Gaijin. And even then, it's like talking to a brick wall. I think generally the partner program is good, it's run by good people, but of all the feedback submitted to the CC Discord, I can count on two hands the stuff that actually made it through. And you know what? I would bet money that Gaijin will try to sneak these changes in again. It is—
Oh, they will. Of course they will. Because why did they try to sneak them in? Because they want to make money. So do you think they're just going to, like in 3 months, oh, we don't like making money anymore? Yeah, we decided we're not going to make money anymore. We don't want that. We're done.
It's happened so many times before. Gaijin will back off for a few months, and then they'll come back and add a change very slowly in pieces.
Exactly. That's what they should do. That would be the smart thing to do.
It's funny, in their response they say that players basically want everything their way, but that is exactly what Gaijin does. I mean, yeah, you can say it's their game, but—
Well, of course players want everything their way. Like, I love how this is like is this a criticism of the player base? The player base wants the game to be the way they want the game to be. Wow, what a condemnation. What a fucking accusation. Those stupid fucking players, those greedy pieces of shit. You're telling me that they want the game to be the way they want it to be? What the fuck are they thinking?
You have to recognize that sometimes you make mistakes. I think it's very funny that Gaijin doesn't overtly say that this change was a mistake. They just say that people don't like it. They really cannot read a room. Gaijin wouldn't need to make changes like this if they hadn't ruined existing monetization options. And they've done that by trying to—
No, it's not that they need to make monetization. The odds are, I don't know about this company, but, you know, like, why would you ever make $300 if you could make $350? Why would you ever make $100,000 if you could make $105,000? Why would you ever make $10 million if you could make $10 million and also $100,000 on top of that? People always want bigger number, better person. It's that simple. It's not complicated.
Squeeze them for money. The Battle Pass is a great example. I am someone that is averse to Battle Pass just as a word, but the first few ones were actually really good. They weren't hard to complete, they offered good rewards, but Gaijin saw they could make more money so they ruined it. What's the reward now? Oh, it's the Centurion Mark 1, but it has a stabilizer. Ooh. It seems like Gaijin is getting extremely desperate for money at this point. It seems like most of the premiums they add anymore aren't unique and there are more of them. It's like I've said before, Gaijin only listens to feedback if it already supports their opinion, or if it can provide them with money. You guys know I make bug reports all the time, right? Especially for stuff like the HSTVL. The vast majority of them are ignored, but Gaijin did listen to reports for one vehicle. It just happened to be an event vehicle they can make money off of. So if
there it is,
they buffed it, they'd get more money. The TCM AGM...
Yeah, of course, right? Because that's the same thing that, like, Honkai Star Rail does. A lot of these gacha games do. Like, you want to know what one of the best characters right now on Honkai Star Rail is? Jin Yuang. He's one of the best characters. He can completely, like, phase a boss with one Lightning Lord attack. Now, you need to spend a lot of money on him to do that, but the people that have him can fucking do that. Not really. No. Like, he's very good if you can wail on him, and he's not very good if you can't. So it's like, the character is, like, ridiculously fucking strong if you can invest a ton of money into it. Like, I'm talking about, yeah, E6 plus weapon, right? Or, like, anything plus weapon. I had a conversation about Tectone, with Tectone, like, today for, like, an hour. Like, all I'm saying is that I don't think it's a surprise that the new characters come out and they're super fucking buffed. And it's the same thing with Sela. Sela was, like, one of the best fucking characters, and still is. Well, that's the one that everybody's spending their money on. And I can guarantee you that in 6 months, the characters that are coming out in Honkai Star Rail, the new banner characters, are going to be really good.
This is now much more powerful than it used to be. I would say it was pretty overpowered for a while, and after they got their money's worth, they moved it up in BR, as they typically do. But yeah, the idea that they would make the grind even worse so they could get more money is just obscene. Even before these changes, it was bad. I have premium and often use premium vehicles, but my SL stayed pretty much constant. And I am not a bad player, you guys know. I can get aces or double aces pretty frequently, but even that isn't enough to overcome the economy. I sometimes grind vehicles when I don't need to, just to sort of stay in tune with the community, and often the grind is so bad that I end up asking Gaijin for the vehicles anyway. But normal players can't do that. Their only option is
He's like, bro, fuck this. Yo, can I just get this?
to buy the vehicle. I thought we all generally agreed that if a game was free to play, that meant you could play it normally without paying, but if you wanted extra content or you wanted to skip something, you could just pay. Apparently that's not how Gaijin wants things to be.
Well, I think that, like, having to skip stuff to pay, like, that is, like, I mean, that's basically the foundation of free-to-play. But it's like, whenever playing the game, like, whenever it becomes so odious and so fucking monotonous to just play the game normally as a free-to-play player, that's whenever free-to-play games die. The good free-to-play games are the ones that make free-to-play players think that they're getting away with what they're getting on their account as being free-to-play. Even though, like, you might say, oh, that sounds stupid. Okay, that's fine, but it's true.
If you went back 3 or 4 years and asked someone if War Thunder was pay to win, they'd probably say that premium isn't necessary, it just speeds things up. Nowadays, that's not really true, is it? I have been very dissatisfied with Gaijin recently for a number of reasons, and this is just the icing on the cake, really. They have become so blatantly blinded by profit that it's just ridiculous.
Wow.
And yeah, you can say it's their job, it's to make money, but I really think people underestimate just how much having goodwill with the customer can bring in money. I've worked enough food service to know the customer isn't always right, but I also know you can't burn bridges with them.
The customer is always right, but the customer is a collective, not the Karen who's mad who wants a refund. The customer is a collective of all of the people that are buying things at a store or that are like some sort of a marketplace. That's what the customer really is. And I think that in that regard, the customer is always right. It's an aggregate. Yes, exactly.
Thunder's biggest problem is that Gaijin always thinks they know best, and that they keep trying to find new ways to squeeze money out of the player base. Anyway, I feel like a broken record at this point, so I'll just end the video here. Let me know what you guys think. I might be acting too harsh, I don't know, I'm just very tired. If you have suggestions for video topics, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.
Well, it's really great we have somebody like, what's his name, Spookson, who's able to just, like, you know, give a fucking really good analysis of this. Like, yeah, this is a huge W. I'm glad that there's somebody out there who, like, really understands it and can still talk about it. They still have lots of player. The drama doesn't affect them too much. The game's on Steam, right? Because it was Steam charts. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. And how many people are playing it? War Thunder. Let's see. Charts. We're looking at 39,000 people playing the game. That's a lot. And yeah, I mean, like, really... I mean, unless this number actually goes down, it doesn't really matter. They also have their own launcher. Yeah, if they've got their own launcher on top of this, this is a really popular game. It's crazy because I've never even heard of this before. I can see why it's popular. Blowing up other tanks looks very satisfying in this game. But yeah, I didn't know that it was a big game. Yeah, upward trend really unusual. Yeah, what an incredible, like, pattern of growth here. This is awesome for them. So I guess it's really, and if you look at, like, the, you know, the disparity here, like, this is, like, you know, the 50% to 100, like I talked about. This is all organic player base here. So, you playing this for an ad? No. If this was an ad, they'd be asking for a fucking refund, okay? So, yeah. Look at the reviews. Well, the truth is that how many people are watching this video that are going to actually stop playing the game? I think that it'll be very interesting to see what this game looks like in terms of player base in, like, 2 months. Because that's what the real question is. Because a lot of times, a company making a bad decision on a game, or, like, a decision that might look like it's universally disliked by a player base, the numbers don't really reflect that. I won't start, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. Is this an esports game? Yeah, if you have a wallet, maybe. Well, anyway, yeah, this is pretty sad to see. I mean, again, I hope that people can see that this is like another example of what I was talking about with like games being pay for convenience, and like how insidious pay for convenience is. Because again, if a game has pay for convenience, the only thing pay for convenience does is it makes a profit incentive for the developer to make the game inconvenient. That is what it does. There's the video right there. Huge shout out to this guy Spookson for being able to make this video and kind of, you know, really shed some light on this issue. I know obviously as somebody who's like a partner with like the game and everything, I could see him definitely feeling, you know, weird about making a video like this. So huge props to him for doing that. Definitely go give it a like and give him some support. How would you say a known game released a while ago can renew itself and generate new players without sponsored streams and influencers? Well, I think the truth is that like content creators drive a lot of the you know, economy of attention on the internet. Like I mean, people might not like this, but streamers are massively influential, and that's why companies pay them millions of dollars to play video games. So, like, if I was making a new game, or I was trying to get people to play my game again, I would get streamers to play it. Like, it's just that simple. How much Blizzard paid you to play WoW? Not enough. I wish they paid me more. I have like $20 in War and Thunder, and I take huge breaks because it's demoralizing to play the game. I play my favorite nation only. To have one bad game nullifying the last 5. I mean, yeah, maybe. But I'm just saying that, like, this is why if a game has pay for convenience, in my mind, it's just as bad as pay to win. It's just as bad. And this is why. Check their website. Premium vehicles have ridiculous prices. $60, $70 for a tank. And can the tank just get blown up? Like, this guy blew up this tank
Probably
here?
some event that made that happen.
Like, theoretically, like, is that... Did he just blow up somebody's $70 tank? Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Wow. Jesus Christ. Wow, they have a repair cost? Oh, can you buy money to do the repair cost? Yeah. Man, I could have guessed that. Yeah, I would have bet that was the case. What a surprise. You know what's funny is that the game would not be like this at all. If there wasn't monetization like this. Like, fundamentally, it would not be like that. The only reason why it has this weird repair cost and all of this stuff is because of pay to win. The entire game, like, think of it like this. It's the tail wagging the dog, and the tail is the monetization. That is the way these games function. It makes you think about the right to repair whenever they monetize repairing your virtual broken products. Yeah, exactly. Real question is why people are attracted to a game like this with these types of predatory monetization. Because people like the gameplay and they don't care. It's that simple. People just don't really give a shit, and a lot of people don't care about pay to win. Straight up. Like, they just don't care about it. It's like, you know, they're like, oh, well, that's just life. It is what it is. What about pay for convenience in games that doesn't have PvP and story focus with no competitive gameplay? What about pay for convenience in games that doesn't have PvP and story focus with no competitive gameplay? Like Genshin. Do you think Genshin's resin system would work the same way if there wasn't a way to spend money to accelerate it? But yeah, people don't care about pay to win. People care, but we're a minority. Oh yeah, definitely. What do you think is the best for monetizing a game? I think just like selling skins is the best thing to do. And if you want to make a game pay to win, like having a gacha system for skins is probably smart to do. Like, I'm not a big fan of pay for convenience. Like, I think that's just like it's a very dark path. And like selling battle passes, I think is smart. I think having a battle pass that has like limited bonuses in it, I don't think is a big deal. Like, it's not good. Like, we're already, like, these are shades of gray. Like, none of these are good. I think cosmetic skins are like whatever, right? But other than that, like a battle pass with like some advantages if you pay for it is not that big of a deal, personally. Because you can only buy it once, and it's like a limited thing that you don't have complete, like, it's not like you can just buy 1 million battle passes. Are you okay with the pay for early access like Diablo? Like, okay with it. Like, what do you mean by okay with it? Like, because, I mean, I play Honkai Star Rail, so, like, I'm obviously okay with games that are pay to win, because that game's pay to win. WoW is pay to win, too. You can buy WoW tokens, and then you can just buy better gear. Like, is it pay to win in an ultimate sense? No, not really. But there are a lot of things that you can do to advance your character that you can spend money to do. So it's like yes and no. But with, what do you call it? It's a bit of a spectrum. Yeah, it is a spectrum. But like, what was I going to say besides that? Diablo 4 Head Start's not a problem, as it's not a seasonal game. Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal at all. However, like a lot of people do, I wish that the game came out on the same day for everybody. Straight up. I wish that was the case. But it's not. And the reason why it's not the case is because it's more beneficial financially for it not to be the case. That is the reason. And I think from now on, that's going to be the norm.